happening? What's happening? Welcome to It Came From GenX, episode 3. That's right, throw them up, boys. We ain't talking about Des Bryant either. All right. Welcome, people. Welcome, viewers. Welcome, listeners. This is the third inaugural episode of It Came From GenX, the show about everyday topics from a Generation X point of view. I am joined with my esteemed, that's right, I said esteemed colleagues, Michael Skinbone Skinner, Brian the Big Fish Fisher. What's up, fellas?
Hey. Good week. Good day, good week.
You know, Fisher, we do radio, right? You can't just throw up the deuces. Nobody can hear that.
That's right. Yeah.
So what's up?
They may start hearing it if my arthritis continues to get worse.
Right.
Good Lord.
Was that what that was?
Lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm Skinbone Skinner this week, but I was Pineapple last week. What's up with that?
I just go with the flow, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I'm feeling, man. It might change again next week. So anyway, it is good to see you guys again. We've had kind of a slow news week, I would say, maybe. Would you say?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But there's still stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And we could always talk about, our experiences as well. Again, this is a show and life from a Generation X point of view, but we also are welcome millennials, welcome baby boomers, whatever. You guys are more than welcome, and it's all about life. And I hope you guys enjoy what we're talking about today. So we also have several ways that you can hear the show. And Fish, tell us about them.
Yeah, so you might be listening to us on WMVU.org, Global Internet Radio, Mondays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. That's our former reality football slot, so check us out there if you want. Also, the same episode airs on podcast. You can find us on, now you can find us on all major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
Awesome.
Ask your home assistant device to play the It Came From GenX podcast, and she should play us in the luxury of your home. YouTube will post videos and also link those to our Facebook page. So Facebook page, where you find all show information, links, all that stuff at It Came From GenX, all one word. YouTube channel, look It Came From GenX. Just look for that. Instagram, It Came From _GenX. Twitter, It Came From GenX, or at Came_Gen, Gen. TikTok at It Came From GenX 330. And you can email the show at It Came From GenX 330 at gmail.com. You can also email us through the Facebook page. If you're not sure if you're looking for the right show, look for our rubber duck monster with the laser shooting out of his eyes. That's our logo. Find him, and then that is us. So give us a like, give us a follow. If you like our stuff, we appreciate it. Give us a share. Tell your friends. Appreciate the support out there.
Excellent. I heard you say something about being a twit and getting some Tic Tacs. That's what I got out of that.
Yep, that's right.
Or whatever. Okay, all right,
that's
guys.
Right.
Well, let's get to cracking today. Again, kind of a slow news week or story week, I would say, but we still can talk about a lot of different things. So, with that being said, just to let everybody know, we are the three guys from reality football, and with football season being over, we wanted to continue our brotherhood, and this show was born from that. And we'd be remiss if we did not say hello to our other best friend, John Cooper, who is, I guess you say, he's on sabbatical.
Yeah, best way to put it, I think.
Yeah, hopefully one day he'll be joining us again soon. But we're three best friends from high school, and just really enjoy doing this together and staying part of each other's lives. So with that being said, I will slide the floor over to you, Fisher, my man. What have you got going on today?
Well, why don't we start with Skinner, actually? He's got a news story here. Why don't we start with Skinner, and I'll come back to pop culture. How about that?
I say start with you. I'm just kidding. All right, go ahead, Skinner. You bold on the video. No.
What's up, all right. Yeah, the news is kind of light this week. we could always talk about COVID-19 and this, that, and other, but we probably talked a lot about that last week. So thought I'd hold off on that. There's a lot going on. New Johnson & Johnson came out, and they're talking about these new strands coming out. So we'll hold off on that. Maybe we'll bring that topic back up again here in another couple of weeks. We'll see how things go on. But there was a study done out in the UK about young men. You know, the young grasshoppers out there, not us Gen X,
not me,
not us Gen X types. But the study has wrote and had said that they have given up on sex with women in order to play more video games out there.
Stop it.
Shocking, isn't it? Absolutely shocking.
You know, there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to need about 20 more minutes.
There is, and there's in the story. Obviously, you got comments out there and all that. And one comment that I thought was interesting is come from a person who says, "I play video games all day with instant access to smut online. Why do I need to go out and risk things trying to find a women or a woman when I have everything I need at home?"
Mm-hmm.
Wow! I thought not only was that interesting, but as a Gen X guy, I'm like, I just don't have that capability to think that way. But I see where it's coming from, especially with today's day and age. And I definitely want to get your guys' opinion on the subject matter. Probably going to be pretty close to mine, but I would be curious to see what you guys have to say. Porter, let's start with you.
Wow, fascinating. Okay, you heard me sound kind of shocked at first when I heard this. So now I'm thinking about it here for a few minutes. And I think it's important that we differentiate. Oh, that was a big one. Between sex and relationships. So,
yes,
when I think about it, it's probably a good idea that you're playing video games as opposed to just having random sex. You know, I would prefer that with my son. However, if you are substituting meeting women and having relationships and growing as a person, I think that's pretty sad, and there's no substitute for that. I think it's just more and more of the antisocial behavior that we see in millennials. Everything's done on computer. People are expressing themselves more through avatars than they are talking to other human beings and things of that nature. We have a sad generation of where we don't talk to one another anymore. I sit in the doctor's office in the lobby, and there's 10 people in there, and everybody's like this on their phone. You know, and I purposely start conversations with people. You know, like, come on, what is this keep to myself, blah, blah, blah attitude? And it's not always millennials either. I see older people too. Uh-huh. So, you know, on that note, I don't think it's healthy if this substituting relationships. But as far as the sex thing, help yourself.
Yeah, and I think maybe they're saying finding sex with women, it's probably relationship based sex. They don't need a woman. They would rather play video games all day long and then, you know, instead of conversing with people. So
well, it sounds like the kind of people we don't want them to procreate anyway, so it's probably good.
Yeah, and you know, you ask me, would I rather want to spend time next to Marcy and conversing with her or playing a video game? There's no comparison. Even though we loved video games as kids, I'm not a kid anymore. I want to grow as a person. I want to grow as a human being. We're in a relationship. I want our relationship to grow. I've never been happier in my adult life than I am right now with Marcy. Why would I want to jeopardize, or why would I want to do something else when I'm growing and being happy this way? Right. So like I said, I cannot grasp the thought and the process on that thought process. Right. Fish, what do you got?
I thought I was in a relationship with Marcy, but whatever. We'll talk later.
Well, now, the new PS gaming system. Now, let me just lay this out here for you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, boy.
It's a joke.
No, man. You were scaring me there, buddy, for a minute.
No.
Yeah, he got all serious on us there for a second.
It's a joke. Well, yeah, these guys are experts at using joysticks. Thank you so much. There you go. There you go, Keith. There you go, Keith.
I knew it was in there somewhere.
Yep. That's the first joke that popped in my mind earlier. No, I tend to agree with you, and it's like I don't know that it's necessarily a worry. I don't know. It's like there's definitely been a downturn of new babies during the pandemic. I think some people thought that you might see an uptick in births during the pandemic, and that really hasn't been the case, probably in part because people are just afraid to get out, and are you trying to meet people during a pandemic and this and that and the other. But if you're couples at home, you're not having kids necessarily, it's already you can go off in a lot of different directions with this.
Sure.
It's harder to make ends meet these days. People are already more reluctant to have children because it's the financial support. People are working two incomes to support a home. But you're right, just the younger generation of the effort to go out and meet people. Are those the guys you wouldn't necessarily just running around and like you said, Keith, having random stuff? Probably not. Having kids
I would
out
like
there
to
that
see who these guys are. They're probably guys that don't have the game to talk to a woman in the first place.
It's possible, certainly. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens in the future if we do indeed continue to see a downturn in new births because of all of this, and then the lack of social skills, like you mentioned, Keith, too. So yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but you're right. The one of the most beautiful things, as we all are fortunate to have experienced is to be in a loving relationship with a significant other who, like you said, Keith, helps you learn and grow, and and grow old with. And these are things that you hope that people don't, not go
miss
after
out on,
and
right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know.
And I, on a personal note, I have a serious problem with grown men that sit around and play video games all day. I just really do. Just get a life, I mean, there's more to life. Nothing wrong with playing video games, but I know guys that call off work to play Call of Duty all day. It's like, really? Seriously?
Yeah.
No, I got you. And you talk about lack of social skills. Why do they have lack of social skills? It's because they're behind a freaking computer or behind a screen all day long.
Yeah.
So they don't have that interaction with human beings, male, female. And this study, and you could even transport young men and switch that to young women, because there are women gamers out there that are the same way.
Mm-hmm.
They're just as lost out there, in my opinion, as the men are.
And I find that even more interesting.
Yeah. I got
right. So all you kids out there listening and watching, don't forego a loving relationship for video games. That is a lonely, empty life. You may think you're having fun right now, but you're going to turn around and be a lonely older person someday, and to pay attention.
Say, what the hell did I miss, or what am I missing? And it's gonna hit you, and at that point, it's probably too late. I hate to say it. But,
that's right.
So
that's right.
Well, and that's all I got for that. But today, fellows, is a celebration of International Women's Day.
Yes, it is.
Which I thought was a very interesting topic. It's been going on for quite a few years.
Can I say something real quick, Skinner?
Yeah, please do.
I want to apologize to myself, to you guys, and to our listeners, because we are about to address National Women's Day. And though I'm not particularly a fan of this, we did not address anything for Black History Month. And I want to personally apologize to any of our listeners for that. That was not on purpose. But I just feel a little, going off about Women's Day, and we didn't even mention anything on that. And I take responsibility for that personally.
Well, we all do. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, buddy.
So I'll start off with influential person for me, and that would be Judith Resnick. She is a graduate of Firestone High School here in Akron, Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
She was a electrical software biomedical engineer, a pilot, and a NASA astronaut. I mean, that's a
bad woman.
A badass woman. I don't know how else to put it.
Woman, yeah.
Wasn't the challenge? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, wasn't it 35 years ago this year? Was that the Challenger?
Yeah, it was 35 years ago.
Wow.
Those that know that she was one of the 7 astronauts on the Challenger that passed away suddenly on January 28th, 1986. So yeah, the 35-year anniversary was just this past
Good
January.
choice.
Wow.
So she's just, I get called a nerd all the time from my better half. I'm smarter than the average bear, but I'm no genius by any stretch of the imagination. But talking to
agree.
people and reading up on Judith Resnick, that was one smart cookie.
Yeah.
And I'd be remiss not to choose her as my role model because we heard a lot about her as kids. I remember where I was when the Challenger went up in smoke, in flames. That was 1986. I was a freshman in high school in 1986. Actually, it would have been 8th grade because that was in January. So I was just getting ready to start my freshman year in high school. And I remember all of us were glued to the television set when that challenge went up because that was history. And then to see that
horrific.
thing, it ended up being history, all right.
Yeah.
Horrific is a great term for that.
A lot of us needed therapy after that. It was such a, what are we watching? It was surreal. Like, we're everybody, stopped class to watch this because one of our own, from Akron was on this thing.
Right.
And it was up in the air. And when it exploded, no one could believe that. That's what we just saw.
Yeah. All our mouths dropped to the floor. And you remember I remember all the buildup with her being on that mission. First woman, and then it was ended up being two. There was a teacher on board, and I apologize, but I don't remember what her name was. But these were the first two women astronauts going up into space. And
also, wasn't Commander Buford on there, a black astronaut as well, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe so. Let me look here. I can.
Yeah, he was.
Which they were.
I remember he made the statement prior to the shuttle going up. He said, "If something should happen, don't worry about me. I just went up even higher."
Right.
He was a devout Christian. So it was. I can't even imagine what her students went through watching that.
Yeah, no, can't imagine. I knew as a student myself how horrified, to go off your term, horrific I was. I can only imagine the students and Firestone High School and all them people that went to school with her, everybody that she knew. Just the tragedy and all that. So that's what I have, and that's who I look at as far as International Women's Day. Somebody I've adored and have looked up to for many years is Miss Judy Resnick.
Okay, all right, that's a excellent choice. Some of you millennials might not remember Challenger, but you might know the name because I believe there's some schools named after her now, and some other things. That was a heck of a day in history. Now I could go on and on, picking different women. Of course, in my opinion, I'm only differentiating between the women and men because it's National Women's Day. These are just people I admire in history. But since we're talking about women, I decided to pick someone a little bit different that I've always admired from afar, and that's Pat Summitt. And she's no longer here with us. But she has always been one of my favorite coaches, just one of my favorite personalities. And what she did, her story is truly amazing. I loved the 30 for 30 special, how she grew up, how she got that job, carrying that team, making something like $10 a week, driving everybody to games until national champions. And she's an extraordinary woman, strong, don't care who you are. If you want to read a story, an inspiring story, you check her story out. Real quick before we go to Fish, one of my favorite stories about Pat Summitt was they just won the national champion. And this is told by a friend of hers. The friend walks in Pat's house, and Pat's cooking. She's got two giant boilers like this on the stove. She's going back and forth cooking, and she's on the phone. And she's going, no, we can't make it then. I don't know if we can make it that day or not. I don't know. Hey, hold on a minute. And she answers another line, and she does something, blah, blah, blah. Then she comes back, and she goes, all right, Mr. President, I'll let you know. She was treating the president like she was just talking to her girlfriend or something. But that just tells you how bold Pat Summitt was. But she's somebody I truly admire.
Well, how much respect she deserved and got is
Yeah.
what that story tells me, truthfully.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good point. How about you, Fish?
All right. Well, geez, there's a lot there. I'm gonna go the personal route.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna say my daughter. Definitely
Okay.
a young woman that I admire. So, you know, Peyton, her mom and I were never together as a couple her entire life. So
Mhm.
she grew up in, having to go from home to home to home. Um, all the while maintain a smile, maintain great grades in school. And now she's in college. She's made the dean's list 2 semesters in a row, doing well, and just has a good attitude and outlook on life, working hard. So, from not trying to show you guys I'm going the personal route. I'm just saying
No,
I
no,
just
no.
want to.
Well,
I
well,
No,
just want
let
to.
me say this
Yeah, yeah,
because in fairness, Skinner had his mom. But
yeah.
I told him, let's not make it personal because our listeners don't know your mom. Let's
Right.
pick someone famous that our listeners could relate to. So
Okay.
no problem with that. But is there anyone famous, a woman that you've always admired?
Hmm. I didn't prepare that.
That's okay. Well,
Let me think on that. I'll come back.
I'll do that. And your daughter's great.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Can't be
truly
more
awesome.
proud of Peyton, who the woman that she's become. We've watched me and Keith and John Cooper, our other dear friend that's not with us at the moment. We've all watched her grow up from diapers, and
Yeah.
just to see her grow and thrive. We all know the stories. We all know what she's went through and what you've went through as a father, and can't be more proud of how you've raised her, Brian, first of all, and can't be more proud of the woman she's become and who she is going to be.
And truly, I don't want to sound bougie, but we talked about how lucky we were with the women in our life. We're really blessed with our kids, man. They're all
True.
awesome,
That's right.
and have accomplished so much. It's just amazing. So really,
Yeah,
really
very good.
blessed. Yep. Okay.
All
What else you
right,
got,
so
Skinner?
that's all I have. So I'm going to pass the microphone over here to Mr. Fisher, and let's talk some pop culture.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So some pop culture stuff here. One of the biggest pop culture stories of late was last evening. So we're shooting this on Monday, the 8th of March. The big Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, Oprah Winfrey interview.
Mm.
You know what? Actually, that's a good. Now that I say Oprah Winfrey, that's actually a definitely a
Without
one woman
question.
that I admire out there. She,
Yes.
definitely built up a career from really nothing. Really wasn't given much of an
Career. How about
opportunity.
enterprise?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a
So
good term, yeah.
She's way past a career.
yeah, I mean, she's one that's just bound, determined to make something happen, and she was given an
Yeah.
opportunity and definitely made it happen. So yeah,
Good
there's plenty
choice.
of women I admire out there, but yeah, now that I
Yeah.
mentioned Oprah's name, she's definitely one that I do truly admire. So
Good choice.
yeah, so it aired last evening. Did you guys watch any of this? I didn't watch any of it personally.
I saw a little bit of it.
I
Yeah,
didn't see it, unfortunately.
some very disturbing things about the way the royal family and all this treated these two. So just some of the things of note. Again, there's probably two sides to every story, but this
Hmm.
is their side of the story. That they received concerns over baby Archie's skin color. Meghan Markle is half black, and so that's kind of a weird and commentary from their perspective. Meghan at one point contemplated suicide, she said, because of all of the stress and pressure and negativity and everything. The royal family did not give baby Archie a official title, so he's not a prince or anything like that, or a duke or anything like that.
Mm.
The couple is expecting, on a happier note, they're expecting their second child, a baby girl. And Prince Harry and Prince William, they don't really seem to be on the best of terms right now, which I can imagine all this causes a lot of strain in the family. So does all this change the royal family on how they work all that, or nope? It's just these two were outliers, and
Okay. Well,
what do you
I,
think about it? Do you have an opinion there?
yeah. doesn't change anything for me because my studies of the royal family, they're a mess, man. I've studied the royal families for years,
Hmm.
pertaining to things that I've taught in Bible study, and it doesn't shock me one bit. And I'm going to get real serious here for a minute,
Hmm.
as a black man on this show, and talking with family and friends and whatever. I don't know what Meghan Markle expected when she married, the prince. I really, what did you think was going to happen? And so I'm not. I don't feel bad for her. I'm not hating on her or anything,
Hmm.
but we were just shocked completely as African Americans. Like, are you kidding me? The royal family's not going to go for this. I'm shocked the wedding even happened. To tell you the truth, they're all about one thing when it comes to the royals: bloodline. That's it. They'll marry their cousins to keep that bloodline pure. This is true fact. Um, that's why Diana was hated, and uh, you go on and on and on in history. So the fact that she was suicidal, or whatever, I can't believe she didn't even anticipate that Harry was kind of a rebel,
Hmm.
and that she was going to get treated like this, and it was going to be a rough time. It's crazy.
Do you think it changes anything in the long term, creating these exposure, or like you say, no, it just no,
Well,
is
I
this going to keep on the way that it is, or what?
I think Harry is the rebel of the family.
Hmm.
William is a traditionalist, and the fact that they left uh, Great Britain and moved to Canada says volumes.
Hmm.
That's a really really big deal, and I think it's going to shake up the royal family big time. It's going to cause a serious rift in the family. It's only going to get worse, especially
Yep.
after that interview last night.
Yep.
We're going. This ain't the last we're going to hear of this.
Yeah. Yep. Do you admire
No,
them getting out of it, Skinner? Do you admire them getting away from all this? What do you think?
um, I kind of feel the same way with Porter. Is what did she expect when she started dating a guy? I mean, you're trying to get into the royal family. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be bumps and bruises.
Hmm.
Well,
And
hold on
to be
now. Let's
truth,
not say she was trying to get the royal family. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She just fell in love with a guy.
well, yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there's an ulterior motive to this. I
Okay,
don't mean
okay.
in that aspect. And to be truthful, I didn't know she was half black till you just said something.
Hmm.
I looked it up as I'm listening to Keith talk. I didn't realize that her mom was an African American, and her dad just, where's her dad from? I was it from Ireland? No, I'm not right. Anyway, I was not aware that she was a mixed in color. So with that really opened my eyes even a little more. That knowing the purist, like Keith said, with the royal family, I'm not surprised. Is it going to change anything after this week? I don't know. The purists, the traditionalists, they're just going to look, knock it off their shoulders and move forward. I hope things change because today's times is nothing like it was in the 1800s, which is how that family's still trying to portray themselves.
Yeah.
So I hope it does change. Do I blame them for moving? No. I give all the respect in the world to Prince Harry for sticking to his morals
And for the
and
record, so do I. I do
making a
Yeah.
admire them.
change.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I admire the cojones, if you will,
Hmm.
to do this.
Yeah.
And I wish that family nothing but much love and peace, and I hope things work out for the best for everyone involved.
Yeah. I mean, this ain't like the first family. This is the royals.
Right.
I mean, this is the same woman that slapped President Bush for speaking out when he did something at a event, and it wasn't
Right.
cordial. She popped him.
She popped him one.
What does that tell you about the structure, the power structure in the world?
Yeah. I think all that's one of the craziest things that still exists is that whole royal family stuff. I mean, it's just nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I just
it
don't
is
get it.
fascinating though.
Obviously we're not from over there either, but I guess. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I admire them to say, look, we're in love. To hell with you guys. See
Hmm.
ya. We're
Peace.
out of here.
Yeah.
And Harry could have caved, and separated. Or I'm
Mhm.
sure he felt that pressure behind the scenes and everything. But he
He
said
probably got
nope.
the pressure to break up with her before they
That's
even got married.
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they're just trying to make something happen. Having 2 kids, like you say, bless their hearts and peace be with them. Okay, now on a lighter subject, WandaVision had its
Yeah.
series finale on Disney Plus this past week. There's no spoilers here, so I know Keith, you haven't watched the finale just yet. Keith was like off camera. That show ended the craziest way. I don't even understand. It's like there's one more episode to watch, you fool.
Well, I'm
Didn't even know.
excited that I have that to watch.
Yeah,
So I'll talk
go
about
ahead.
it up till next to the last episode.
Yeah,
I watched the first episode and a half of that show, and I went, "What is this garbage?"
right.
Then after talking to some people, they told me just go back and continue to watch it, hang in there.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
did, and then I started to see the brilliance in what was going on. And even though I have not watched the finale, it is one of the best things Marvel has done in a long time. It's brilliant.
Yes.
It was a total different idea to take on with the superheroes. Brilliant. I think the show hinges on more than just these are my powers. It hinges on the grief of Wanda.
Yeah.
As a human being, as a woman in love. So I can't wait to watch the end of it, but it's a great show.
Yeah, they really set up the next movies coming up with the multiverse with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and all that. And again, we won't spoil anything here, but they do really bring everything into full circle. So you really see why did the show start in a 50s sitcom or 50s sitcom and all of that. So they really explained everything, I thought, pretty well and set it up very nicely for the future. And I agree. It's of all the superhero television shows throughout the years, this makes an argument to be the very best series. It's more like a long movie, in my opinion, frankly, but it is categorized as a TV series, so probably one of the finest TV series for superheroes that anybody ever came up with. There's still been some good ones out there.
Yeah,
maybe that's another episode to talk about that a little bit. But
sure.
Yeah, I thought they set it up very, very nicely. Well acted, well written, and these are written. This is true fans that put this stuff together. When you go back in and read the Easter eggs and even all the little subtleties and all the homages to the original comic book series and everything, these are people that really took their time and paid attention and
they really did
honored the original storylines and the characters very, very well. So,
and I also thought it was brilliant for Marvel, who went through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and to take a break and go this way now.
Yeah.
So we don't get oversaturated with the movies was total brilliant.
That's right. What do you think, Skinner? Do you see it?
You guys, I haven't gotten past the first half episode.
Oh.
Now, listen to you guys talk. You said it perfectly. Took an episode and a half, and you said, "What is this garbage I'm watching?" And then somebody told you to stick with it.
Yes.
So I'm going to do the same thing. You guys are telling me to stick with it, and I will go and watch the series.
Yeah.
When I watched that first half episode, I'm like, wow, this is a 50s spoof.
Yeah.
What is Marvel doing?
Right.
Now, I didn't finish the episode, nor have I heard anything that's happened from that point all the way forward. So I'm completely oblivion to anything that's happened or what the show's about. So I'm going to watch it now. I really am.
I think about this as a kid, just the absolute garbage that we had on television back in the 70s. The Hulk was tolerable somewhat, and even that was very.
I loved it. I know it was. Great.
I know it's fun to go back and watch. Lou Ferrigno was and Bill Bixby was terrific on that show. But just the storylines and the plots were that was, and the Wonder Woman Linda Carter was great. That was fun, but most of the stuff like that Spider-Man show they had back then was
so bad.
That was awful.
It just made me angry as a child that here's Spider-Man on television and it's so horrible, terrible. To go from that to this is like I know, right? It's just as a kid, we never thought we would see anything
I
remotely as good as the movies.
Of
And
what a real X-Men movie looked like when I was collecting the comic books. I remember sitting with our colleague Cooper at a job. We both worked at a car wash, and we cast the movie. Yeah,
X-Men.
we had cast the movies. We had people like John Forsythe as Cable. Sherry Belafonte as Storm, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So to see, this is a dream come true for us as comic book collectors, superhero people. Now I'm gonna tell you a show. I'm about to go straight Gen X on you here. You know what one of my favorite sci-fi shows was? Buck Rogers.
Oh yeah. You know what?
25th Century.
Allie and I went back on the NBC streaming app. Okay.
Yes.
All the episodes are there. They only made 2 seasons. It seems like it was more.
Season like 1. More.
Yeah. Season 1, great stuff with Twiggy and all that. Fun. Well acted. The storyline's goofy 70s, late 70s stuff. Fun. Season 2, right off the rails. With Hawk and all that. Oh and my his God.
Wife,
But it is fun. It is
good
fun.
Yep.
Allie actually bought me a antique, authentic Buck Rogers lunchbox I have sitting on my shelf that she got for me fairly recently. Okay. Speaking of the mutants, by the way, I won't go too much. I don't have it. There's not much news about it, but they are making, now that Marvel has the mutants and the Fantastic Four back in its fold, finally, where you might see a decent Fantastic Four movie for the first time. And they are developing the Mutants movie. Not much about it, so look for that. So hopefully Marvel will get these right. I'm sure that they definitely will. And that's it. That's kind of the main pop culture. Oh, Coming to America. I forgot. Coming to America 2. Yeah. Launched on Amazon Prime.
A movie from our childhood.
Yes, I have not seen the sequel. It'd be impossible to try to top the original. You saw it, Keith.
Yes.
What did you think? Worth the time of day, or
I went in this with an open mind. It's certainly worth the time of day to watch.
Okay, all right.
Or certainly, I would not say don't watch it.
Okay.
But I was terribly disappointed.
Sure. Yeah.
And for 2 reasons. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like a prude here. I've watched plenty of things with foul language, but this depended on it too much.
Okay.
For cheap laughs, and it wasn't necessary. And the other thing that got on my nerves is what was cool about it turned into a bad thing. They were pulling out nostalgia from the first movie.
Oh, yep.
And at first it was like, oh my God, that's him, that's so-and-so. And then it just kind of relied on it throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from little people who had, 5-second spots, though they were significant. Like when he went out to the bars, when he first got to Queens and was trying to meet women, and there was the 2 twins. They did the rap. They brought the twins back, And there was some of the music was cool. The 80s music was great. They had En Vogue in it. They had Salt and Pepper in it. They had, even they played She Blinded Me with Science, Thomas Dolby, which was cool. But other than that, the original music wasn't as good as the original movie, and it just relied on the old nostalgia from the first movie way too much. So I was very, very disappointed. It's worth watching because it's Eddie Murphy, and there were some funny lines in it. The funniest line of the whole movie was in the barbershop. Well, one of the barbers said he wants a woman so black when he make love to her, he won't have to use a flashlight. Watch it. You make up your own mind.
All this crap out there of people, all this throwback, reboot, all this stuff to cater to our generation. Hey, remember this when you watched in the 80s? Hey, let's try to get a watch or a glimpse or a little bit of money out of us or something like that. So much out there, and a lot of it, in my opinion, ain't that good. The best thing, in my opinion, is Cobra Kai is fantastic.
Cobra Kai is brilliant.
The continuation of that, it's interesting how they're doing that, but they ain't a whole lot. We'll talk more about that in maybe a future episode. Some of the reboot and things that are worth it and a waste of time. So,
Yeah, we'll
Reboot definitely
gotta
needs
talk
to
about
be.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai's that new series, a new season coming up. That's well done, but not a lot of this stuff
Right.
is, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I've got a note for a reboot episode. We definitely need to dive into that a little more later on down. But yeah, I agree. Cobra Kai, brilliant.
Yeah.
How they have done that show from season 1. I remember watching that first episode, and I felt like I was a kid again. They took shots back from the original movie. I'm like, man, this couldn't have gone any better. And then to watch the characters being introduced, this last season, the girlfriend from the second movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, that can't be her. That is her. Oh my gosh.
Right.
So it's a feel good show no matter what age you're in. My 12-year-old watched it. She hadn't seen the first movie, but she watches Cobra Kai and loves it.
Right. I'll tell you something else too, Fish. It's not just movies that are relying on, 20 years ago or whatever, 30 to get interest. It's happening in television as well.
Sure.
I don't want to talk. I think this will be a great subject when it happens for you to talk about. But look at a show like Law and Order that's still on S3U. They're bringing Stabler back.
Yeah.
This is something we thought we'd never see. You're talking 17 years, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited to see. I love Stabler. I'm a big SVU fan, but it's like, wow. Desperate for ratings.
Yeah, they got a zombie I Dream of Jeannie coming out, I heard.
Oh,
something like that. Yep. All right, moving right along. So that's what I got from a pop culture wise.
I got you. About 18 minutes left for you to talk about music there, Mr. Porter.
Okay.
You had a little bit there.
Yeah, how about we talk about a little sports first?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot happened this week. Of course, the big news, which happened today, Fish, your Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Finally came to an agreement with Dak Prescott. He is signed one day before the franchise tag deadline, which was looking like was going to happen again. He was going to be making around $50 million. But he signed today 4 years, $150 million. It is utterly ridiculous that it took this long to get this deal.
160, isn't it? Or was it 150?
I thought it was 150.
Okay.
I thought I saw. That's all right. I thought I saw 4 for 160.
Okay,
well, that's fine. All right. But
either way. So certainly Dallas caved on the year. So they were trying to get 5 years, and he wanted 4 years. So certainly they caved on the term, which is good. I don't know. I just don't know. I like Dak Prescott.
It's 160. Thank you, fellas.
Okay, no, that's fine. I don't know. I don't know. Is he worth? This is debate. Obviously, you're going to hear in sports till the end of time. When anybody signs a contract like this, that unique to Dak Prescott, is he worth that type of money?
Well, none of them are. None of them are, in my opinion.
That's true. Certainly, Dallas had no option. Skinner and I were talking off camera a little bit. I'm sure Dallas at least felt around to see, is there any chance of a possible Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, just to see what may or may not be there.
They would be paying more.
You're probably right. Can Dak Prescott play quarterback? Yes, absolutely. If they could protect him, then he will score points. Dallas had no chance of anything last season without him. They got to fix the defense. If they could, defend at any just reasonably, Dallas will be a much better team instantly with him in there for sure.
Exactly. Listen, they had no choice. This should have been done. First of all, Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson is looked at much highly than Dak. Okay, so you would have been paying more money, but are they really that much better? Before Dak was injured, he was the highest rated quarterback in the league. Okay, so this guy was coming into his own. Here's the thing: if you didn't do it, forget worried about is he worth it or not. If you didn't do it, you would have lost that locker room. That's the bottom line.
That's true.
And that's what that team's biggest problem has been, disarray.
Yes.
So
you're right.
Just should have been done it. Just should have been done it.
Yep. Well, now you got a lot of guys locked up now. You got him.
Mm-hmm.
You got Zeke, who still can run the ball if you freaking hand it to him once in a while. You got a good receiving core. You got a decent line. Offense looks pretty as long as Dak is healthy and you protect him. If they could fix the defense a little bit, they'll bring a new coordinator.
You got the draft coming.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. And then 2021, Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl champions. I'm joking. It's a joke.
You better slow your roll there.
I'm not going down that. At least
Skinner,
there's some
free agents out there. Mm-hmm. Seattle let Carlos Dunlap go today, which I was shocking because I thought he played excellent last year on that defense. Even though their defense was bad, he was a great addition.
He was the shining point of that defense.
Yeah. So there's some opportunities out there for Dallas to get that, through the draft and a couple free agents to get that defense together. What do you think about Dak finally signing?
The first thing I thought of was that's Aaron Rodgers money. That's Tom Brady money. Is he really Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady?
He's the future,
quality?
Man.
I get he's the future. I mean, that's more money than Mahomes got.
Highest rated quarterback before he was hurt.
Okay, but what has he done? What has he done is my question.
Hey,
has he done Mahomes?
He came in the league as, hey, Mahomes is an outlier. Come on now. Who's done
Has
Mahomes?
He done Brady? Has he done Rodgers? I mean, that's my first instinct.
These guys are phenoms. He came in and stole that job from Tony Romo.
I get it. Now let me finish. That was my first thought. But then you look at it and you're right. If they don't sign Dak to a long-term deal, he loses that team. He loses that locker room. All hell's going to break loose, worse than it did this year. So I get that. Yes, he was the highest-rated quarterback, and we talked about that a lot on our other show. And then when he went down, the walls caved in and it went off the rails. So I think they had to. I think it was a good signing. That money, boy, I tell you what, it just makes you shake your head sometimes at where salaries are today compared to where they were 20 years ago. And I hope Dallas figures out that their weakness isn't their offense, that it's their defense. And they're not going to fix it in one off season. I know that. It's going to take a couple years to get that defense where it needs to be, but we'll see. Jerry Jones is an offensive owner.
Yep.
He never spends money on defense.
All right, so moving on. The only other news, sports news that I have, and this is really going to tell everything. Yesterday was the All-Star game. This was All-Star weekend in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's team dominated. Not only did they win by 20, 170 to 150, but Giannis Antetokounmpo won the MVP. Now, this tells me a lot about this game. Not only did I not realize that I not watch it, I didn't even realize it was yesterday. Did you guys watch it?
I didn't either. I told Skinner the same thing. I forgot. I didn't even realize it. I have not watched. I'm not protesting anything, but I have not watched one. I don't recall the last time I watched a full NBA game start to finish. Probably since LeBron was in Cleveland, honestly. Now it's obviously it's a factor that we're from Northeast Ohio. And
yes,
the Cavs they're getting better. They're an up and coming young team, and it's there's some excitement there. But I just don't think to sit down and really watch it. I don't know, because I guess part of it for me is just it's the same handful of teams that compete. You get these moving around super teams and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Brooklyn and stuff. It's not
more
as
or less
interesting to me personally.
Game.
Sorry, All-Star game. I just didn't pay attention. I do like how they pick the teams, though. I do like that better than East versus West.
Yes.
Because you get to see guys play together that you may never ever see in your life. I liked the fact that LeBron got to play with Steph Curry. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. So that's all that. I love all that stuff. I just didn't really pay attention. I didn't see the marketing out there. I just didn't pay attention, and that's just me. And then it's obviously the defense is a complete joke. It's a complete offensive.
We're talking about 320 points were scored.
Yeah, and even in our time growing up, even those All-Star games, they still played I feel like it was more, at least a little bit more defense in the 80s
Exactly.
and 90s and stuff like that. But now
And
they
it-
just
and
completely
And of course, the
no.
big thing too when we watched it that you don't see today, which is my biggest beef, the stars don't compete in the slam dunk competition anymore.
Right.
It was a
Yeah.
rite of passage for Michael Jordan, your Kobe Bryant, LeBron, 17 years in the league, not one slam dunk competition. Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Skinner?
I didn't know that it was All-Star Weekend either. Had no idea. I'm with Fish. I watch the scores to see who's winning. I kind of look at the standings every once in a while, but I had no idea it was the All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
I heard they did
Okay.
everything in one day. Did the
Yeah.
skills competition, did the slam dunk.
Slam dunk was gone at halftime.
I heard the 3-point contest was fantastic.
Yeah,
Steph Curry
Curry's
and
amazing.
a young kid, I can't remember who the name was, that gave him a run for his money this year. So I heard there was some excitement generated with that, and I hope that they can figure out how to make it fun again with the All-Star
Weekend. To
Weekend.
watch, so I can't stand him, but he's amazing.
Yeah, but
we can't stand
him. I am a basketball sports fan. I just don't watch the NBA much, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it I got for sports, guys. Moving on to music. As I do each week, this day in music, there were so many different things, none very significant, except in 1962, the Beatles debuted on television singing Roy Orbison's Dream Baby, and it was the first time that they wore the suits.
Oh, wow.
That became iconic for them. So this is kind of a big day in history back then. Gosh, well, I know I'm in a lot of flack for this, but I'm not a Beatles fan, guy. Just not.
You're not alone.
They wrote some great songs here and there. I'm just not a big Beatles fan. I know people tell me I just don't get it. They talk about the greatest band of all time. Please, when you want to talk about a great band, I think of Earth, Wind, and Fire. You name me one band that can play instruments like that, dance like that, and sing like that. But I'm just not a big Beatles fan. How about you guys?
You're not alone. I am not a Beatles fan. Couple songs that I'll listen to and I'll tap my foot to, but for the most part, I don't see what I don't see what the heartthrob, or I don't see what all the big hoopla was about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, Elvis was a better
Elvis is in my top
entertainer than the Beatles was.
Without question.
But that's interesting that you said 1964?
62.
1962, so almost 70 years ago. If I'm doing my math right, that's crazy. I am not doing my math right. That's 60.
You went to Kenmore. Don't talk about math on here, dude. Seriously.
So, but that's interesting. I remember that visual with them with the suits doing that particular TV show.
The iconic stuff, the suits, the haircut. I get it. I get all that. Whatever.
Interesting. Yeah. So, and I got your Kenmore crack. I'll remember that one.
What do you think, Fish?
My dad was a Beatles fan, so we always had the Beatles around the house. So I'm probably more of a fan for that. Just that he played them all the time. I had exposure to a lot of their music and all that. So if I just from a pure entertainment perspective, I would probably choose to listen to the Stones versus the Beatles as far as pure rock entertainment. But the Beatles were good. They were musically talented. They could sing. Multiple guys could sing. They were definitely one of the first bands that had the multiple singers and stuff. But anyway, so
I respect what they did. I'm certainly a huge Stones fan. The Stones are just so dirty. We don't care. Pure. They're rock and roll purists. So I dig them, and I'm certainly a huge Elvis fan. Talking about that era. So okay, all right, moving on. Unfortunately, not such lighthearted news. But would be remiss if we didn't mention the passing of a local legend here. The great Michael Stanley. Someone who should have been in the big time. I don't want to say a waste of talent, but something that he should have gone a lot higher than he did. He is just beloved here in Northeast Ohio, and his passing has shocked everybody in this era. Fish.
Yeah, a lot of great music, like you say. It's just one of those things where I'm sure a lot of areas have bands like this to where they're very big locally, and for whatever reason they did not get the national commercial play and make their
Mhm.
way too far out of their local area. But Michael Stanley definitely fit that description in Northeast Ohio. He's definitely a Cleveland guy. He
Mhm.
was a local DJ for many, many years. He still toured. If you lived in Northeast Ohio, you know a bunch of Michael Stanley band songs growing up.
Yes.
Definitely in our
Every band
age
I
group.
play in, I
Mhm.
demand that we play Lover. That's my
Yeah,
favorite. Yeah.
Mhm.
absolutely. He wrote a very heartwarming letter that was passed on after his death by his estate, and just
Mm.
very nice, thanking the fans and everything. So I've seen him before. Skinner and I actually saw him years ago at Clay's Park.
We did.
Good show, and he rocked it out years ago. So definitely a huge loss in the local Cleveland music scene.
Yeah, what I did know about Michael Stanley is he chose not to go to LA. He chose not to go the national route. It was his decision to stay in Cleveland, live and work in Cleveland, and he was an icon, but he was an
Mhm.
icon to his people, and his people was Cleveland and Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
He did tour nationally a little bit from what I read and what I had seen, but he adored Cleveland. All if you listen to a lot of his
He
songs,
did.
he talks about
He
Cleveland.
did. Yeah.
He was on that television show that he toured different places in Cleveland,
Hmm.
and then he did the radio show on WBNX or 98.5 rather. Um, and he said, "That's all I want to do. I want to
That's
talk
great.
music. I want to be music, and I want to be in Cleveland." That was his
Okay.
three things that he said. And loved Michael Stanley growing up. My aunt Sherry, who's only 5 years older than me, my dad's sister, she was a huge Michael Stanley band fan.
Hmm.
So I got to know him through her and listening to him,
It
and
was
I
just good,
really,
good sounding rock and roll, man.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was very
Good
good.
sounding, in the vein of a Rick Springfield,
Yep.
Pat
Yep.
Yeah,
Benatar. Just
Sure.
good sounding music, good songs, you know.
right.
Yep.
Oh, all
So
right. Okay. Well, moving on. Rest in peace, Michael. Um, Last subject before we close out here. In the music world, the big talk. If you're on Facebook, you've probably seen multiple people bringing this up. The offense to this Cardi B song. Um, wow. I didn't know what was going on until I looked up and read the lyrics. And I got to tell you, I've heard some raunchy stuff in my time. This is utterly ridiculous, especially in the age where we're banning Dr. Seuss Christmas songs, and this crap's being promoted and pumped into our kids' ears. I don't want to sound like a prude. I've listened to songs that had, some not so savory stuff in it, but this is utterly ridiculous. Fish?
It's that WAP song or something.
Yes,
Is that what you're
yes,
talking
yes,
about?
yes.
Yeah, I the lyrics on this, you're right, made the Two Live crew blush.
yeah, yeah, absolutely does.
Mm.
Yeah, the Two Live
It
Crew's album is a hymnal compared to
That
this.
was Me So Horny. It was like a huge
Yeah.
uproar back in our time, and that was kind of bad, but nowhere near this level
So
of
let me
yeah.
ask you this
So
real quick.
interesting.
Are
Yep.
Skinner, are we being hypocritical here? I mean, we grew up listening to some things, that might have been questionable. Are we being hypocrites or is this really bad?
no, I don't think we're being hypocrites, and we are up against about another minute left in the show. But I that song makes my skin crawl to
Okay.
think what the subject matter of that song is, and then they want to ban Dr. Seuss, so they want to ban Christmas songs because the Christmas songs are offensive. Uh,
Absolutely.
I don't get it. That's
Okay.
hypocritical to me.
Okay.
No
Well,
one's banning Dr. Seuss, by the way.
while we're talking about
Dr. Seuss elected to their own publishing company stop some of those. Go ahead.
okay, well, while we're talking about bands and music,
Hmm.
we got a letter from a viewer,
Hmm.
and he requested something real quick. Go ahead.
He did, and unfortunately, we're going to run out of time to take care of this, so we'll pick this up next week. But we want to shout out Nick Schaefer, friend of yours, Fisher. That he's a friend of our show, but he's also
Thank you,
does a show
Nick.
with you guys. He wants us to discuss some influential bands from when we were in high school. So
We'll do that next week for sure.
we will do that next week. We got
For
20
Nick.
seconds left. So great show, fellas. I appreciate all your candor as always.
Yeah.
I thought we had not a lot to talk about, but we sure did fill up the
It
hour.
sounded
And
good. Hey, we want to say a shout out. We didn't last week to Tiger Woods.
Right.
We're making fun of him the week prior. Then the accident happened. I felt horrible. This is just really, really bad for a guy who's been struggling to make a comeback, which he did win the Masters, a couple of years ago. But
2019.
yeah,
Right.
we wish
So,
him the absolute best in his recovery.
absolutely.
All
All right,
right.
fellas. Up
It
until next week.
It came from Gen X, our Facebook page, all one word, all show information there. Nick from Convincing Idiots. Peace, brother. We'll talk
Peace,
more.
Nick. It came from GenX. See you guys next week. Thanks a lot,
See you
fellas.
next week.
Love you, my brothers.
Something from the bar, sir?
Hold the phone.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Booty, booty.